2 years ago, I began cutting mountain bike trails in my backyard. These very first clips chronicle the genesis of Berm Creek, which amounted to little more than a featureless trail. The actual area of Berm Creek is less than a quarter acre, which is more land than I ever thought I'd own in my lifetime. And that's what made this tiny trail system inspiring to so many. It was an attainable goal. Not only did I build this first iteration with nothing but a flat shovel, but I also added signage and a map at the trailhead. It was the perfect mix of fun and absurdity. And so I started building features on Berm Creek, starting with a North Shore drop at the very start of the trail. The natural slope made a real landing unnecessary, and so the drama drop was born. It was narrow, difficult to approach, and sketchy to say the least, but Berm Creek had a feature, and a significant one at that. Fast forward to the spring, and we got to work again with the biggest changes yet to Berm Creek. This time we focused on cutting in a more functional trail with wider turns and berms. I also added an area for spectators. With a slope to deal with, I knew the only solution would be custom built seating, and so the picnic table was born. With one end level to the ground, it was possible to use for other things. And the short run-up made it by far the sketchiest feature responsible for the most crashes. Ouch! Later that summer, the work continued, with a revamp of the drama drop. I made it a little bit narrower for fun, fixed the approach, and added a rolling option for those who wanted to keep their tires on the ground. My friend Bobo never wanted anything to do with the drop, but when presented with this B option, he was interested in giving it a try. Who could forget that?
Oh God!
Berm Creek seemed to be getting better and better, until that fall when I decided we needed a jump at the bottom. In hindsight, this was a great idea, but it was rushed and poorly executed. With torrential rain only hours away, we didn't have time to adjust what we built or let the dirt harden. And so I proceeded to have my worst crash to date on an 8-inch roller double.
Oh.
My collarbone was broken with no huge gap or backflip to show for it. But just a month later, Skills with Phil came to town. With my clavicle still on the mend, he and Kevin rebuilt the jump the right way, and even built another line off the picnic table. Berm Creek had been reinvigorated, now with 3 features. This was the version of Berm Creek featured on my t-shirt, with all the trail names and features in the backdrop. At that time, it was probably one of the most iconic backyard trails in the world. And then I dropped the bad news. I will be selling my house sometime in the next year, and we need this growing season to turn Berm Creek back into a normal yard. You see, home buyers don't always like customizations, and Berm Creek would probably fall into that category. But before I begin the sad and painful process of dismantling the drop and leveling the trail, we need to have a full-on grand finale. We need to hold a proper Berm Creek jam. I must admit that I won't miss the process of cutting the grass on Berm Creek. I've attempted to find landscapers willing to mow this yard for me, and some quoted me as high as $250 per week. This might seem unbelievable until you try to get a mower back there, let alone out of there. One guy did the entire yard with a weed eater and told me he would not be returning. So when I'm not here to mow Berm Creek, it becomes a meadow, and if it weren't for ticks, I'd probably leave it that way. With Berm Creek trimmed and groomed, we had just an hour before the big jam. That's when I had an idea. Yeah, we're definitely going to want it like...
Well, the wood's got to touch it.
I mean, we're not going to be able to get up that high.
That's what I'm saying.
See, usually I try to build features that look good and hold up for at least a few years. But ain't nobody got time for that. If we were going to slap something together in under an hour, I'd need to channel the ingenuity of 12-year-old Seth. With no tape measures, no concrete, and no plan for how we were going to finish this thing, Kevin and I embarked on a construction project that would break every building code ever conceived, making it actually pretty consistent with the rest of Berm Creek.
I just tack it into place first, and then go in the other side.
Are those car mats?
Yeah.
But it's building structures like these that make you remember what it's like to be a kid. And as an adult, I still find it just as fun. To call it a wall ride would be a disservice to wall rides. So let's call it what it is, a liability. We used 2 trees, some ratchet straps, car floor mats, and scrap lumber to build the jank wall. 1 hour wasn't enough time to build something curved, and to make it slanted would have been probably not a bad idea. But one thing was for certain, anyone looking to get their tires on this thing would need to be 100% committed. Kevin, Nate, and Felipe all did the drama drop for the first and last time ever. Today was their last chance, and pressure leads to risk taking. By 6 o'clock, it was a miracle that nobody had yet been heli-vaced, but the night was still young, and Bobo decided to finally face his demons.
I'm like in between like not wanting my back tire to get hung up, going too slow, and I don't want to go so fast that I nuke it over the berm.
Despite having successfully ridden this very sketchy roller, Bobo had never actually done the drama drop, and I can't blame him. Kevin said it best when he remarked that the drop isn't all that big, but I still breathe a sigh of relief when my tires touch the ground.
I just had to see it. I had to see it.
Indeed, Bobo's tires touched the ground, but he wasn't breathing a sigh of relief.
Damn, dude.
Even though Bobo got completely wrecked that day, it would have haunted him forever had he never tried that drop. Now he has the scars to haunt him forever.
Did anyone say out loud we're taking the drama drop down?
Yeah.
That's why, dude.
The Berm Creek jam continued into the night, and it really started to hit home that this place is really mine, and I have to give it up. I try not to think of all the things we could have built here, and all the jams we could have had. I try to focus on the future. Once I sort out this house and sell it, I'll be moving somewhere else in the Berm Creek Ranger District, with hopefully more land. I'll also be working on a public bike park project with my patrons, which will be documented on this channel. The future is bright, and in terms of trail building, we have only just begun. But this little 5-second track in my backyard is where I caught the trail building bug. And with the series of videos I made chronicling the story of my backyard trail, you can rest assured that Berm Creek will live on forever. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.